or we can cross now live to Moscow, get the perspective from there with correspondent Jake Cordell. Jake, thanks for being on the programme today. You'll have heard these reports that Russian forces may be planning to encircle the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. What is your understanding today of the current military strategy of the Russian army?
Yeah, it seems and it appears, and it's quite evident from the reports we just heard, that Russia is hardening its military strategy. Putin is doubling down both on the military side and on the limited diplomatic side. Military analysts believe that Russia was hoping for a quick advance to Kiev, which clearly hasn't happened. We're now on the sixth day. They've only been able to shell certain areas and control very limited territory, particularly in the eastern region. And it appears that the Western sanctions that have been hit on Russia have really just encouraged Putin to really go hard on this strategy, as we saw those horrific pictures from Kharkiv earlier today from the shelling, and yesterday. At the same time, he's also hardening on the diplomatic side of things, because he's saying that he's even upped his demands. Now he wants Ukraine to fully recognize Crimea. He's basically said about 3 or 4 times publicly that he won't stop until Volodymyr Zelensky is out of power in Kiev. So we're really seeing Putin going hard into this maybe siege mentality of his own, as he attempts to put pressure onto Ukraine to accept his terms, which clearly, as we've seen, is not on the table.
And Jake, it's becoming increasingly clear that in the coming days, Russia will be isolated, not just economically, which we spoke about yesterday, but also in the realms of culture, in the realms of sport. Give us a sense from Russians that you're able to speak to about to what extent this is hitting home with them.
Yeah, well, those are the two ways that this war really hits home with the majority of Russians, is through the economic pain they're going to feel, which is obviously already happening, and those sporting sanctions. It's things like being kicked out of FIFA, the Russian ballet being kicked out of London, the Russian sportsmen aren't allowed to compete internationally. Russia really prides itself on its sporting achievements, so those things really do hit hard. And we're also seeing state TV here in Russia use these things of, for example, companies pulling out of Russia, or as I said, ballet performance not being allowed to go ahead, as evidence of some anti-Russia agenda from the West. So it's used as a propaganda tool by the Russians to try and whip up this fever that the West is out to get us and everyone's against us, and you really need to get behind your country right now. So they're using it for their own gains. I think for most people that watch it, it does feel a bit shallow, and the more this cultural, sporting, economic isolation increases, the more ordinary Russians are going to realize that this isn't going the way they were told it was going to go, or the way the Kremlin wanted it to go.
Jake Cordell live in Moscow. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting today.